Okay, let's see if it's on. Yep, it is. All right. Okay, yeah, I apologize for how. I hope this isn't as blurry as it looks. But, the main thing is you can hear the message. Okay, so yeah, I watched this person that I'd never seen before online. I really liked his style. Basically he got it right out there. I mean, he would talk a mile a minute, just really fast. But he said a lot, and I thought, boy, that is the ideal voice. That's the ideal message for broadcasting, is just being able to, just go a mile a minute and say as many things as you can and just get it right out there. But the thing is, with my style, although I really like his, with my style, I really have to pause and take time to think about what I say. That's just me. So I think that's very important that you do, think about the words that are coming out of your mouth. Oh, wow. Yeah. When I'm typing, it's a different story. And I feel like, God has had to scold me a couple times for the things I say in text. And that's never fun. Um, anyway, so I've been really making an effort, to just try to stay positive, really try to just try to focus on the good things. Really, I mean, when you think about it, your friends, when you get on social media, they really, really do not want to see a bunch of garbage you say about somebody. They don't want to see something that's going to bring them down. You stop to think about it. If you do stop to think about it, you should. Um, you're bringing people down. Like, they get on there to see, posts that say good morning, and I've come across some very beautiful floral, pictures of flowers. It says good morning by the picture of flowers, and just all these bright, vibrant flowers. And, just humor. And I mean, there's enough sadness in the world that we don't need to add to it, basically. So, all right. This person that I watched, part of what he said was, well, what he said was really good. How can you tell somebody is sent by the devil? That they just absolutely drain you. Okay, I won't get into the whole thing, but now this person in my life, well, she was in my life. Even I see her in person every day. And I really think she was, because sent by the devil, because I think she was there to try to open up an old wound. You know, and she started to, because I started to tell, things that that person did, and about what world am I rehashing this? I mean, I tried to be friends with him again. He does not want to, and that's fine. I approached him twice, and that's fine. I think that it's better off that we aren't, because we're really, I mean, we're night and day. And so anyway, though, her main thing was really trying to get me to hate this girl and saying, well, I think that he talked to her on Messenger, and that must make her some type of way, like a bad person. And I'm like, you're not winning. I do not hate this person. I don't hate anybody. And you're not winning. Most of all, you're not winning. and then all right, she's talking about her like she had actually met her in person. And then she says something that blew me away. She goes, "Well, I never even met her, but she talks to this person, she talks to that person, and the main thing is that she talked to her boyfriend, or well, she says I want to find out if she wanted to find out if she talked to her boyfriend or her ex-boyfriend. So she was digging to see if her ex-boyfriend was moving on. All right, none of this makes sense. Because first of all, she said that she doesn't like him, that he's an abuser, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, what? Now, if you don't like, if he's an abuser and you're trying to move on, wouldn't you be happy if he moved on? Really? I mean, wouldn't you be happy? So anyway, I just told her I wasn't getting into it. Was not going to get into it. So, she wasn't happy that she couldn't reel me in. And I'll tell you what, I don't have a thing against that person that I dated that I mentioned. I don't have a thing against him anymore. I mean, you started to open up an old wound. And I'm stopping myself, really. I mean, because I really shouldn't have started to say the things that he did. The way I see it is that he is struggling. And when you have the issues that he has, you're going to struggle, But, he doesn't need me to. I mean, I don't want to attack him while he's down, And it may look like he's not down. He has a great, well, he's got, it made. When you go and you see his place, and it might look like he's not down, but anybody that has some of the issues that he has is going to be a downhill spiral. So anyway, that's basically what I mean. Some people are sent, to open up a wound that you already started to forgive somebody, and they're there to, let's open that back up. Let's dwell on it a little bit more. Oh, I know the person he talks to, and I don't like her. And I mean, when I was jealous, when I actually cared a lot about him, and I was jealous when the relationship had just been, well, we had just broke up, yeah, I started to, women do, they're like, oh, it must be this girl, must be that girl that he left me for, must be this girl that he was cheating on me. I mean, women do that. And it's like, men, they're right when they say that, like when they get on sites and they say, I don't want somebody with a bunch of drama. I don't want somebody that starts drama. I don't want somebody that's going to nag me. You're right. You're absolutely right. This is just nonstop craziness, and you get to the point where you just want to put a clown costume on somebody when they're sitting there and they're crying, or they're venting, or crying or venting, whatever you want to call it, about someone who really, I mean, doesn't care about them. They're on to the next woman. They really, and I mean, or maybe they picked a player or whatever. The woman picked a player, and so it's like they really don't care. They're on to the next woman, and you're there sitting crying about them. Meanwhile, I mean, especially if you live in a small town, and we do, they're taking women to restaurants, guaranteed. They're taking the, to restaurants and other places, and people are, seeing them together, and then they see you, and you're single, and you're ranting on social media. Oh my gosh, just Yeah, because they will see you do it, you know. So it's to the point, it's like, you've got to love yourself. You've got to love yourself. You've got to, I have never felt so free as when I just decided, I'm just going to do me right now. I'm just going to, heck, I mean, I'll watch my favorite movies. I will paint my nails. I haven't done that in a long time because, I mean, the most I did, and I really am not sure if I like it, is I dyed my hair, but anyway, I didn't do a lot there was a lot I have not done for me, but I started to, the day that I dyed my hair, and then I did my nails, and, I used my favorite face cream, and I really enjoyed that. And when I just got to the point, I think what it is, I just got to the point where I'm like, you know, um, the person that I did love, that I waited for, I mean, we dated other people, but we still talked, and after, well, after my relationship was over, you know, um, I started talking to him again, but we were talking off and on for 4 years, and I loved him a lot, but he was not very honest in that he said there was nobody he was seeing, and he was trying to carry on a long distance relationship with me, and I don't know, he was just, but I felt like this, he's just was not being very honest, because I just barely found out about her. It was last Christmas, and so that threw me for a loop, and I guess I'm just tired of people promising things that, or I don't know, just acting like they're more fond of you than they really are, you know? That's what I'm tired of. And I'm just to the point where, man, I love myself and I don't need to put up with this. You just get to a point where you're like, I have girlfriends that I hang out with. I have people that I talk to now and in the little circle I hang out with. And I don't have any time for someone that does not appreciate me. Really, I don't. My friend, I mean, I'm going to have to tell her because I don't think that I emphasized it enough. My friend today, she brought me like two different kinds of ice cream. I thought she was just going to bring me one little, container. No, she bought me two different kinds of ice cream. And, when we sat there and talked and we enjoyed our time, and, and so anyway, I mean, there's this disabled kid and his mom that we talk to once in a while, and well, he doesn't, he's nonverbal, but he can do gestures and stuff like that. But we talk to his mom, and he's always got a smile for us, and he just loves to come. He loves to come to that store and just interact with us. And so, I mean, we just sat down and we just enjoyed our time, and you know, um, I I mean, I haven't had any man in my life that's going to bring me two different kinds of ice cream, or you know um, do too many nice things for me, and so it's just to the point where you get tired of asking to be appreciated. That's the point. You get tired of asking to be appreciated, and you're just like, well, to heck with it for a while. I'm working on myself, and I want to be a valuable person too. I want to be like, I mean, right now I'm just dealing with the housing crisis, and I want to be valuable too. I don't want to be in the middle of a crisis and not having everything that I need to have together, I'm never going to be rich, and I don't really want to be, because I've seen the attitude of people that are, and they're never happy. And so, that's where it's at. And it's I listened to that song by the Judds, and I hardly ever listen to any country music. I think, the only one I can think of, top of my head, that I really like is Carrie Underwood. I hardly ever listen to country music, but I was listening to the Judds today, and that song just, oh my gosh, it tears me up. It just really tears me up. Is called The Good Old Days, and Grandpa tell me about the good old days, and I had wanted to sing that song for my grandpa. I really did, but I didn't know if I was going to get up there and start crying. I wanted to sing that song at the home he was living in to him, because my grandpa, he stood by his word. Like, if he said he was going to do something, he did it. Like, I had this doll that he repaired this doll that was broken, you know and he did repair it. It was a doll I had. It was a porcelain doll that I made. He did repair it, but he also told me, he says, you really do need to take care of your things. And it was, well, I had a very destructive person living with me, and that's how the doll got broke. And he said, look, if you can't be with somebody who doesn't respect you and doesn't respect your possessions, then you need to take a break. And you need to take a break until you can find somebody that respects you and respects your possessions, because this is so sad. And, your grandma's going to die one day, and she's passed now, but your grandma's going to die one day, and you are going to treasure the things from her. But it won't mean as much as if you guys made this doll together. It won't mean as much as if somebody destroyed it. It's broken. And you've let them damage your personal possessions, because they couldn't have respect for anything you owned. And so that stuck with me. That stuck with me, is like, you need to have some, not only, personal possessions, those hold memories. And if they are not respecting your personal possessions, even, they're really not respecting you. But he had made a promise that he would fix that doll, and he stood by it. And that song by the Judds, it says, people really, they make promises, and then they forget. They forget. People keep the promises they make, and it says, people take me back to the good old days, where people keep the promises they make instead of forgetting. And that real fathers really stay, families don't go away. It was just, it really resonated with me. It's like, we live in a world where people, it's okay to say, hey, I'm just tired of you, and just walk away. Or to promise something, oh, I'll be there by 12 o'clock. Like, I dated somebody that had no issue. Like, if he said he was going to be here, make me wait all day. And I just got to the point, I wasn't really, I've always liked him, but an attraction there, but that's not enough. I was raised, you make a promise and you keep it. And so it didn't hurt me too much to walk away and say, look, you can't keep promises. So, it's all right for you to stand me up. And so I'm done. I have no issue with that. If somebody stands me up, it's like, bye, bye. I have no issue with that. And so, that song just really hit home with me, and it's really sad, the state that our world is in when people don't care about anything. She also said in the song, there take me back where take me back to the day when we knew what truth was, and there wasn't such a gray area. There wasn't such a gray area. You never knew what truth was. Or that now we don't know what truth is because it's just all relative and it's just a gray area. There's so many good points in that, and there is definite truth. There is definite truth, and that is, where we come back to God and we ask Him, into our heart, when we come back to the Lord and say, look, I don't know how I manage this, be honest. He's not gonna come down with a hammer on you and say, well, you messed up this time, I can't forgive this. No, that's what people do. And God is a person, but He's a divine person. And that's, He's going to forgive you. He's going to be ready to heal you. He's going to be ready to change your life if you'll let Him. I'm not a mainline kind of, believer. I used to be, but there's too many times where, I don't know, there's too many times where people use their own experiences, or maybe they haven't experienced what you've been through, and they're going to tell you how to live, or they're going to tell you their version of what God is saying. Now, the video that I shared on Facebook, I'm going to give a disclaimer on that, because I liked what he said. I liked what he said about, if your energy is drained, if the way that that somebody is sent by the devil is when your energy is drained, when your vibration isn't high anymore, and it's just you're drained. Okay, and I know what he's talking about, because just recently, I thought I was going to get back together with this person, and that, is in another state. I thought I was going to get back together with them, and, he was still, he apologized, but he was still, and I really don't hold anything against him, except for he was still making it, kind of, I don't know, I'm still making excuses, about why he couldn't be with me, instead of saying, look, he finally did admit he just wasn't the relationship type, but then I'm sure he reneged when he got back together with the person that he was seeing, and that's just going to hurt him if he's not the relationship type. And that's what he told me. It's going to hurt him, she'll get her way, but it's going to hurt him, but that's his deal. I'm not even worried about it. But when we talked, though, I just felt drained. I felt emotionally drained. I laid down, and I couldn't even get my things done. Just couldn't even get my things done, because it's just, I don't know. It was just a million excuses. There were other things that were hurtful. It wasn't so much even what he did, what happened in the past, because I'm not even worried about that, but there were other things that were hurtful, and I felt like he was just going to never quit making a million excuses as to why he couldn't come back here. So, and he had promised, and that goes back to take me to the good old days when people made promises and had no problem with keeping them, and so that's a beautiful song. So, I mean, back to, and I know I'm skipping around a lot, and there's a reason for it. I'm just going by what the Spirit's telling me. I'm just freestyling it today, or tonight. But let me tell you why I'm not into trashing other people. And, when you're growing in the Lord, and, even if you're not a Christian, but you may be, some other, you may, some people title it, I really don't like it, but like you might be metaphysical and you might be, but you're growing in love. You're growing in your knowledge of everything. Okay. This is why I don't like, and God's convicted me of it. And this is why I don't like dragging people's names through the mud. I mean, I'll hold you accountable if you start some stuff on my messenger, boy. I'll take a screenshot and say warning, because you decided to jump in my inbox and try to ruin my day. Boy, you didn't ruin my day, but I'm definitely going to call you out. Now that's holding somebody accountable. But this is why I don't just openly hate people and drag their name through the mud, is because when you hate somebody, you're hating God. You're hating God. Everybody has that divine spark in them. Why do you think that when in the scripture it says, and I brought this up a million times, like when I was naked, you clothed me. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. And the person says, God, I never did any of those things for you. He says, when you did it for the least of these, you did it for me. And the reason why is because he has installed the divine in every single one of us, is his divine spirit. Because he didn't say, now, let's not get this confused, okay? He didn't say, no, in the Bible did he say that his spirit is never in a person that doesn't know the Lord, that there's not a part of his spirit in people that don't know the Lord. Okay? Because if they are doing any good, and I know this person that goes to the dollar store quite a bit, and Christianity is not his chosen religion, but he turned around and paid for 2 articles. Yeah, well, I mean, they're just $1, but I mean $1.25. I mean, everybody keeps chanting. They don't call it the dollar store anymore. They call it $1.25. But who cares? I mean, he didn't have to do that. There were 2 shirts. I didn't bring the extra money. I just got too much stuff that day. And there were 2 shirts that I decided, well, those will work for me, and I mean, no biggie if I didn't get them, because I was just going to use them for night shirts. But he turned around and bought them for me, And so that is the divine right there. That's the divine. I don't, anytime somebody does something good for you and they don't have to do it and they have no reason, no hidden agenda, nothing, that's the divine. And that's why Jesus said, when you did it for the least of these, You did it for me. He didn't say, well, let's see. They accepted me in the, whatever church they go to, Baptist, Catholic, LES, any church you could think of, okay. I mean, well, they accepted me in the Baptist church or the Pentecostal church on such and such day. So because you did it for something for them, and they were a member of such and such church and accepted me as their savior in that particular church, then you did it for me, because then that proves that they have the divine in them. No, he never said any of that because they were a member, because they accepted me in such and such church, or even accepted me, period. No, he never said that. He said, because you did it for the least of these, you did it for me. And you can't argue that. You can't argue that as much as you want to. You can't argue that. I mean, my personal opinion, my personal opinion, and, I do say my personal opinion because not everybody's a Christian. My personal opinion is, yes, you need to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Okay? You need to do that to make it to heaven. Okay? But that does not mean that, it's like, let's say, okay, your vacuum. I know this is the weirdest thing, but stick with me. Your vacuum, you have a cord. If there is a cord, if there's an outlet in the wall, okay, but your vacuum, all right, you do have the cord, you have that connection. There's an outlet, all right, but you refuse to be plugged into it. Is that vacuum going to work? No. That's the same thing. That's the divine. You need to plug into that power. You need to plug into your source. So really, work on, accepting the light into your life. If you are talking trash, if you're talking trash about somebody, and or you're doing something that it could be talking trash about somebody, or it also could be you're doing something that you're not supposed to do. You're lying, or you're stealing, or you're just doing something that is not going to bring you joy. Just please, you've got to be to a point where, you don't have to. You can continue to be miserable, but in order to help yourself, in order to connect to the divine, if you feel like garbage after you do something, if you feel like you just ate a bunch of garbage, that is that spirit, that's Father God, that is Jesus telling you, you're harming yourself. You're harming yourself. So, in these last days, it's time. I believe that these are the last days. I do. I believe that these are the last days. I was sitting there eating my dinner one day. I was in a well, actually it wasn't dinner, it was lunch. Sitting there in a restaurant, and I was hearing about all this inflation and about our economy. And this man who was talking, this speaker, he says, we are in a worldwide crisis, and he says, there's no hope. Correction. There is hope. There is hope. And this hope is Jesus, and you just plug into your source, if we could all just quit being greedy, blame shifting, and saying, well, it's, our tax dollars go to this, our tax dollars go to that, whereas as much as there's always going to be taxes, there's always going to be blame too on where those taxes go. So I mean, in the Bible, it says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, I will heal all their sicknesses, I will heal all their disease, and I will heal their land. Everything. He's going to make everything new, everything whole. And you know what? If you choose to go on being wicked, if you choose, my beliefs are, I think that there's truth in everything. I even believe that, I believe that some of us are going to be in heaven and some of us are going to be right here, because you'd have to ignore the entire book of Psalms not to know that, because it talks about several times the meek will inherit the earth, about there being joy in the land. And you'd have to ignore the entire book of Psalms. But you know what? God's going to do it. He's going to do it without, there's going to be wicked people that are just, let's wipe you out. Let's just wipe you out. If you're going to continue in this, you're going to continue, backbiting. You're going to continue. You're not blessing anybody. You're here to be a blessing and you're not blessing anybody. All you're thinking about is you, and you're not blessing anybody. He's going to go, okay, well, gave you enough of a chance and you still desire to do evil. And, you're here to bless others. You're here to grow in the Lord. You're here, and he just won't deal with it, So if somebody has done you wrong, or, if you are hurt, if you're in an abusive situation, or if you have been in an abusive situation and you just think, they're just never going to have to pay for what they did, you're just totally wrong. You're totally wrong that they will have to. They will, guaranteed. God is a just God, but it's not up to you. It's not up to you to punish them. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And I'll tell you what, I've been on the dark side. I've been on the dark side before. And I've been on the dark side where I have wished harm on people. And believe me, when you wish harm, and especially if you're doing an intentional spell, please be careful. It will backfire on you, and it definitely did on me. And you are not God. You need to let God do his job. And believe me, he will. It doesn't have to be you punishing people, because you don't want it to turn around on you. That's the main thing. You don't want it to turn around on you, because it will. God is very blunt in the scripture when he says, vengeance is mine. So, that's basically all I wanted to say. And like the girl, if you're watching, hey, I just wish you the best. I saw a side of you that I did not want to see. And you know what? My life, I want it to be about healing. I want it to be about blessing people. As for the people that I haven't friended on Facebook yet, it's not because I have not wanted to friend you. I just thought, a couple people shared some political stuff on my timeline to try to get even with me, and because I'm not on the same political party that they are, so they shared a couple things to get even with me, and then I couldn't find their profile anywhere, and I thought that was interesting because they never friended me. So I guess I have to change my settings, but I think they were all riled up because I didn't send them a friend request. And I haven't done that because I'll tell you what, I've been hacked so many times that I didn't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. I thought, well, maybe they need to see that it's me for a while before I friend request them, and or maybe they're just waiting and then they're going to friend request me. I have been kind of leery of sending people friend requests because I have had so many profiles and been trying to start up Facebook again for being hacked, and I'm just trying to be careful of who I am friends with. Really, I am, because I'm tired of having to start up new profiles. And I did not mean to offend anybody. I'm just trying to respect you, and maybe you're thinking you might be a little bit leery of friending me because I have been hacked so many times, and you don't want to be hacked. So there was no ill intent. I mean, the girl that shared all that stuff was a bunch of Republican stuff. I'm sorry. Whoops. But, it was. That's okay. I didn't mean any harm. Sorry if you found out I was a Democrat and scares you to death. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean any harm. But in fact, I thought so much of you when I found out you rescued that dog. I thought so much of you. But seriously, like if that was a jab at me, or if you're trying to teach me something about politics you think I don't know, or about prices and why I should vote Democrat, and I've seen, or not Democrat, Republican. I've seen all of the why I should this, that, and the other. Please, just, what? I mean, don't leave that out of our friendship. Please. I mean, if you think you need to vote Republican because Democrats are the problem and the gas prices and formula being so expensive, I mean, nothing like a breast pump, but nothing like a breast pump. I mean, really, I should have done it. Looking back, I should have done it. But I was just so, I don't know, women's lib, mad at my doctor, pretty much women's lib thinking, and that's really, if you want to think about it, I mean, you're a Republican, that's kind of women's lib of you, isn't it? But to not want to, I don't know, but we won't go there. But, I mean, just leave me out of it. I mean, I don't even want to be, that was just an answer to what you did. And, I don't want to be involved in politics, and I have the right to vote the way I want to vote. I think that is so silly to be friends with people based on what their political views are. And don't judge me until you know why I make the choices I do. And the reason I make these choices is, as far as voting Democrat, is because as a person with a disability and not that much money, basically, all right, we are being chased out of the state that we're in. We're being chased. The mental health agencies, they're telling us, I've been to now at least a couple, I was one more today. The mental health agencies are telling us to move to blue states because we can't afford to live. You may not be able to allow or to buy your formula or your gas, but you know what? We're not able to put a roof over our head because we're being told that everything is like one person said on Facebook, well, renters don't realize how much we go through, and so if you don't like the rules, get a house, okay? If you don't like the rules, whatever, you don't like this, that, and the other, or you don't like the condition of the rental, get a house. Well, you don't know, a lot of you don't know what we go through. I had to move from a place in 2018 that was just got shocked in an outlet. That was fun. Um, Not. And also, the floor was caving in. And, when you buy a house, you don't, I mean, it's just, you don't have to worry about things like that unless you buy a lemon, But you don't think about the things that we have to go through either, and so while you're struggling for fuel prices and your formula and all of that, we're struggling for a place to live. And we're being turned away, and I was turned away from a rental the other day. They said, because you're on disability, we can't accept you. I said, well, what if I have the money to pay for it? They said, it doesn't matter. We want somebody, that's not on disability, that has a full-time job. It's not on disability. We're just outright discriminated against. So please, I make choices because of what's going on in my life. And you don't even know my situation and you're judging me. And so, I'm in a housing crisis just like everybody else. My place is being bulldozed basically by, a place called Biologic is taken over. I'm having to move, and I'm going to lose, I might lose everything. I might lose everything. And you're sitting there and you're judging me for the way I vote. You don't know my situation. So that's all right. You're just like you were in junior high. you know, you're just like you were when we were growing up. You're kind of a bully. But, just, thing is, we're the social media thing, it was created so that it was created so that we could connect and so that we could enjoy life and get a hold of people that we grew up with, and not to harass people and bully people and belittle, and it can be, social media can be good, and then social media can be really bad too. And when you fight over political things and you fight over who you like and who you don't like and whose fault is it, and over this, that, and the other, the state of our country, you take the fun out of it. So life is too short. I mean, the sky's the limit on why you shared that with me. But I mean, because you did, and you chose to share that on my timeline and be very petty. And I did think quite a bit of you for that, for saving that dog. That really was just something that meant a lot to me. But because you did this, don't send me another friend request. I choose not to. Actually, I think I chose I sent the friend request. You accepted, but don't please. All right, we're done. Don't send me a friend request, because anyone that decides to be negative on my timeline, I don't, are petty. I don't want to repeat. So yeah, it's just to the point. Let's love each other. I hope this blessed you, and really, yeah, plug into your source. Plug into your source. You've got that divine cord, that divine that plugs into that outlet, and plug into your source. Connect with the Lord. So he says, you draw nigh to him, he'll draw nigh to you.